Hello fellow airmen and welcome back to War Thunder with Windwalker 85. Today I'm gonna show you the latest addition to the USSR Tech Tree I-301 prototype plane. This plane was available during the Christmas events. On daily basis you had to perform tasks to get it, in total 19. Some players obtained it after just 3 to 4 achievements. However, it seems like Gaijin considered that I need to finish all 19 to get it. It was a little bit pain in the ass, but I must say after flying half a dozen rounds it was totally worth getting it. So if you didn't get it, sucks to be you, because this is one of the best rank 1 planes in this game. Now on the plane itself, it's when it comes to history, this plane was called Lag 3 in serial production. It was a Soviet fighter aircraft of World War II, and it was a refinement of the earlier Lag 1. At the moment, that was one of the most modern aircraft available to the Soviet Air Force at the time of Germany's invasion in 1941. Despite its wooden construction, at one stage 12 of them were being completed daily, and in total 6,500 approximately had been built when Factory 31 in Tbilisi switched to Yak 3 production in 1944. The prototype was designed by Semyon Lavochkin, Vladimir Gorbunov, and Mikhail Gutkov, and as I mentioned before, it was designated as Lag 3 in serial production. Its airframe was almost completely made out of timber, with crucial parts processed with bakelite lacquer. This novel wood laminate construction was more durable than regular timber, was incombustible, and did not rot. The full wooden wing with plywood surfaces was analogous to that on the Yak 1, and the only difference was that the Lag's wings were built in 2 sections. The fuselage was pretty much same as the MiG-3s, but the Lag 3's armament was considered formidable. It consisted of 2 large caliber 50 cals UBK machine guns, which were installed between the V section of the cylinders of the engine, and 2 synchronized 7.62 Shkas machine guns. The weight of fire was 2.65 kilograms per second, making the Lags superior in burst mass to all serial Soviet fighters, as well as the 1941 version of the Messerschmitt Bf-109. MiG-3, which shared exactly the same weapons fit, was and is considered extremely undergunned compared with the Yak-1, which had a 20mm cannon and 2 7.62 guns, and even the later versions of the Polikarpov I-16, which had 2 cannons and 2 machine guns. I-301 rapidly replaced the Lag-1, although the new fighter was too heavy for its engine. In fact, Design Trio has originally designed a prototype for the powerful Klimov M106 engine, which proved to be unreliable, so they were obligated to install the relatively weak Klimov M105P engine. And when it comes to the plane in the game, it seems so that the developers have modeled this quite well, because this plane is way slower than a Lag, at least when it comes to acceleration. Historically, as a result, I-301 was slow. Its top speed was just above 600 kilometers per hour, while its rate of climb at ground level was as slow as 8.5 meters per second. 301 proved to be somewhat hard to control, as it reacted sluggishly to stick forces. In particular, it was difficult to pull out of the dive, and if the stick was pulled too hard, it tended to fall into a spin. As a consequence, sharp turns were difficult to perform. More powerful engine was installed, but the improvement wasn't enough, so the only solution was to lighten the airframe. The Lag team re-examined the design and pared down the structure as much as possible. Fixed slats were added to the wings to improve climb and maneuverability, and further weight was saved by installing lighter armament. However, this proved as a slight improvement, and without any alternative engine, when the first I-301s first committed to combat in July 1941, it was completely outclassed by the Bf-109s. Later in 1941, the LAG-3 appeared with new armament options, internally balanced rudder, retractable ski landing gear for the winter, retractable tail wheel, and wing pipes for drop tanks. However, the result was still not good enough. Even with the lighter airframe and supercharged engine, I-301 was underpowered. It was extremely unpopular with the pilots. Some aircraft supplied to the front line were up to 40 kilometers per hour slower than they should have been, and some were not airworthy. In combat, main advantage was its strong airframe. Although the laminated wood did not burn, actually it shattered when hit by high explosive rounds. Luckily, in the game, since this is a rank 1 vehicle and the battle rating is just 2.3, rarely you're gonna encounter planes with cannons. You're gonna fly mostly against aircraft with machine guns. However, you know how matchmaking in this game works. When you get up tiered, well, it sucks. So, however, this plane was very disliked by the Soviet pilots. I'm quoting a pilot, Viktor Senaisky. He said that this plane was unpleasant client. Preparing this plane for flight demanded more time in comparison with other planes. All cylinders were supposed to be synchronized. God forbids you from shifting the gas distribution. Pilots were strictly forbidden to touch the engine, but there were constant problems with water-cooled engines during wintertime, especially as there were no antifreeze liquid. You couldn't keep the engine running all night long, so you had to pour hot water into the cooling system in the morning. Furthermore, pilots did not like flying the I-301, basically a heavy beast with a weak engine, but they got used to it. Even so, they had higher losses on I-301 than on I-16. Contrary to the popular belief, nickname Varnished Guaranteed Coffin was not used during the war. It was some internal joke between Russian pilots. Even with its limitations, some Soviet pilots managed to reach the status of ace flying the I-301. So this plane was good once the pilots got used to it, at least at early stages of war. Like I said, when it comes to playing in the game, as far as you can see, guns are quite awesome. You have 4 machine guns plus 23mm cannon. In this first video, in this first round, actually engaged the ground targets because no one was there defending them. And since you'll be crossing your path mostly with light planes and light vehicles, you don't actually need bombs to kill tanks and others because you only have mobile AAAs and armored vehicles, which can be easily taken out by machine guns only. However, like I said, this plane had significantly weaker engine compared to the LAG-3. So this is basically the biggest weakness of this plane. If you lose too much speed and you don't stay high enough to accumulate speed if you get engaged, most likely you're going to end up dead, because unlike any other Russian plane in the game, this plane is not made out of selenium, which is perfectly fine, because if it was well armed, plus you had pretty strong fuselage, no one could beat you. Here, that's not the case. If you take a couple of hits in the engine cowling, your engine is going to die pretty fast. Contrary to the historical facts, unburnable bakelite fuselage, this plane fairly easy gets caught on fire and burns out. So the best way to stay alive in this plane, well, obviously don't get hit. It can suffer hits from the machine guns quite well. However, if you end up with 3-4 biplanes chasing you from close range, not likely you're gonna stay alive without the wingman. And we all know what happens in the low ranks. People just don't care. They just go for the kills, completely ignoring the objectives. At the moment, we have the lead because I killed approximately 15 ground targets, and now I'm dealing with the planes. And most of the time, I've been saving friendlies from the enemy. However, that was simply not enough. You can see the ticket counter, we have a significant lead, but we're gonna lose this round because people simply refuse to do the objectives. And those were light vehicles. This is a Spain map with 3 columns of armored vehicles, and those are priority targets since this is a ground strike map. As you can see, I have no difficulties in dispatching the enemy planes and just sending them to the ground and burning wreckages, but sometimes that's simply not enough. In this round, in total, I think I killed 19 or 20 planes plus 15 to 17 ground targets, and we still lost. So don't get frustrated and upset even if you perform great in this plane. Sometimes that's simply not good enough. One good pilot can't compensate for 15 friendlies that have baked potato instead of brain. So just try to stay calm. Even if you perform well, you might lose. As far as I can see, yeah, it's quite typical. You can see 3 players chasing 1, and since you have serious firepower, you're gonna snatch most of the kills, so don't be surprised if friendlies start shooting at you, because they're gonna consider it as kill stealing, which is kind of weird because of the armament on this plane. Even with a short burst, you can split a plane in half. So most of the players who have this plane knows how good it is. The one they don't, well, what can I say? And there we go. I think this is gonna be my last kill on this Buffalo. Ticket counters is going down, but I'm not almighty and I can't go for ground targets and planes at the same time. But pretty good score. I had 19 kills, and I was still getting used to the guns because convergency on on most Russian planes doesn't really count. However, this 23mm cannon is not high velocity. That means muzzle velocity is significantly slower than on most cannons. Let's say compared to the 23mm cannon on IL-2. However, it inflicts serious damage, so it can deal even with much tougher plane. This round was particularly interesting since here in the enemy team we have my buddy Krabs, and he's also making a video of 301. You cannot exactly see in the chat, for some reason replay is not showing that, but he actually typed to me, Windwalker, please do not go after me. And I was assuming that he is making a video, so me and my squad mate Judge were trying to avoid him 90% of the round. Because even though he's on the opposing team, I just can't shoot at friendly. I don't want to be a douchebag. So we had a lot of fun in 2 versus 2 duels. So I guess in the future we're gonna make something similar, probably some cooperation between us. So for 90% of the match, we dodge him and refuse to fire, even though we had a couple of clear shots on him, as well as I believe he had on us. But we are gentlemen pilots. We don't shoot at buddies, even if they are in the opposing team. However, at some point it seems like he was engaged by an enemy Typhoon, because I was seeing that he had to flee back to the airfield, most likely to repair due to a dead engine, which unfortunately costed him some kills, because it's not like we were trying to compete, but it's always good to see how another good pilot handles 301. As far as you can see, this is another domination map. Actually, sorry, this is Ground Strike Berlin. Light vehicles only, so we had to kill ground targets, but it's not easy to kill ground targets when you end up with 3, 4, 5 opponents chasing you. So we had to be cautious, and like I said, this plane is not made out of stellinium, so it can't take a zillion hits. If someone plays a couple of good rounds on you, you're gonna be crippled, and that's it, game over. So we had to be a little bit cautious, And unfortunately, that costed us this round. Like I said, teammates with baked potato instead of a brain. And there we go. Look how easy it is to kill the enemy plane with that 23 mil. You would think it has only 81 cannon round. Well, if you have good crews with high reload speed, that ain't gonna be a problem at all. First round, when I took this plane for a spin, unfortunately I had it, well, as soon as I took it, you know how players are. Never seen the new plane in the game, and they instantly go after him because they never placed a bullet in that plane. And they were like, oh, I gotta get this kill. So, as a result, everyone jumped on me in a head-on, which was a fatal mistake. Out of that head-on, I had 7 kills plus 1 critical, and I still had 10 rounds for the cannon. So it doesn't take much to kill the enemy if you aim properly and lay shots. But like I said, it takes a while to adjust because muzzle velocity is not really the best on that 23 mil cannon. Well, it seems like... oh, there we go, another one is down. I must say, I fly everything between biplanes and jets. However, I do enjoy flying low ranks because it takes way more flying skill than at medium to high ranks. In medium to high ranks, everything is over in fraction of a second and with maybe 1 or 2 shots. Here, if you meet a pilot with the same plane and approximately equal flying skill, you're gonna have an interesting dogfight. So it won't last fraction of a second. And what's nice, this plane has stealth rounds both for 7.62 and 50 cals. However, one big flaw is you don't have stealth rounds for the 23 mil gun. So you should probably select universal rounds because you only have a choice between default rounds, universal, and ground attack. Universal have fragmentation incendiary shells, which will make this job hell of a lot easier since when you hit the enemy plane, shell also explodes, inflicting a lot of damage to the fuselage and flight controls. So you don't really have to kill the plane, it's enough to crit him. He's gonna crash because you severed his controls. So he can't turn, he can't do anything. And you can easily switch to a different target. But like I said, the biggest weakness of this plane is engine. So try to keep your speed above 300 clicks per hour. If you pull too many turns, your speed is going to drop. And that means if even a biplane ends up on your tail, you're dead. You're basically dead. There is absolutely no chance you can outturn him or outrun him because acceleration is a little bit poor. If you're low, you're good as dead. Unless you have a wingman, and wingman coordination is really important here because at some point you're gonna see Judge saving my ass from a guy. Let's see, I'm not sure if that's this guy. Yeah. But what I find interesting, just the two of us inflicted so much damage to the enemy. I could only imagine what would happen if we had a full squad, so 4 players flying one I-301. I guess neither the enemy team would stand a chance, and most likely friendlies would be frustrated for getting all the kills. And I wouldn't be surprised if they open fired on us. It seems like Krebsy is improving. At this point he has like 7 kills. However, he's being engaged by a Typhoon. Yeah, there we go. However, I think he survived the entire round for this with this I-301. It was quite an interesting match, but as you would suspect, we lost this one as well. You see, we completely ignored each other. We didn't want to fire, even though if I had a shot. So that's how gentlemen do it. Don't fly and straight snipe the friendly. Anyway, overall, this plane is amazing. Like I said, it was only available during the Christmas event. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be available for purchase. It's true, Gaijin made us jump through the hoops to get it. However, it was totally worth it. So, and take a look at the kill-death ratio. I have it for maybe 2 days, and I already have over 200 kills, less than 50, actually less than 40, that's something like that. Plenty of ground targets destroyed as well, so this plane is awesome. However, unfortunately I didn't get the premium tank because achievements were a pain in the butt. So, hope you enjoyed this overview. As always, check your 6. I might be on your ass. See ya in the air.